Tell me where you're watching from right now. Seriously, drop it in your head for a second, because this story, it hits different depending on where you are. Some places just feel closer to it than others. And trust me, by the time you're done with this, you're gonna be looking at quiet mountain towns a little differently. This all happened back in 1946, deep in the Appalachian region of eastern Kentucky. Not the kind of place you just passed through. You had to mean to go there. Dirt roads, no streetlights, miles of forest, and towns so small everybody knew your business before you even knew it yourself. Locals called the area Black Hollow. Not officially, no map ever used that name, but if you asked anyone within 50 miles, they'd know exactly where you meant. And they'd probably tell you not to go. Back then, people didn't ask too many questions. If someone disappeared, you didn't automatically assume something bad happened. The mountains were dangerous. Folks got lost. Slipped. Starved. It wasn't unusual. But this was different. Because it kept happening. And it always happened to outsiders. Travelers. Drifters. Salesmen. People just passing through, thinking they could cut across the mountains and save a day or two. They never made it out. At first, nobody connected the dots. 3 disappearances over a couple years. Could be anything. Then it turned into 5. Then 7. And that's when people started whispering about the twins. Their names were Lila and Loretta Graves. Identical. Same height, same face, same way of moving. Even their voices sounded almost exactly the same, just slightly off if you really paid attention. They lived with their parents in a rundown cabin about 2 miles outside the main road, right where the forest started getting thick. Their father worked coal when there was work to be had. Their mom kept to herself, barely spoke to anyone. And the twins? They didn't act like other girls. Not even close. While everyone else their age was talking about getting married, raising families, or just trying to get out of that place, Lila and Loretta stayed in the woods. All the time. Didn't matter if it was early morning, middle of the night, rain, fog, you'd see them walking trails nobody else used. And here's the weird part. They never got lost. People who grew up there their whole lives would still get turned around in those woods. But the twins? They moved like they had a map in their heads. Or like something was guiding them. Folks noticed things. They'd disappear into the forest for hours, sometimes a full day, and come back without a scratch on them. No dirt. No cuts. Nothing. Like the woods just let them pass. And then there was the way they looked at people. Not in a rude way. Not aggressive. Just intense. Like they were studying you. Like they saw something you didn't even know was there. By the time they turned 18, people in Black Hollow had pretty much accepted one thing. Those girls weren't normal. Didn't mean they were dangerous. Just not right. At least, that's what people told themselves. Then summer of '46 rolled around. And everything changed. A guy named Daniel Mercer came through the area. He was a traveling equipment salesman out of Tennessee. Regular guy. Friendly. Known to pass through small towns selling tools, hardware, that kind of stuff. People remembered him because he stuck around longer than most. Said he liked the quiet. Big mistake. The last time anyone saw Daniel, he was talking to 2 girls near a fork in one of the trails leading into the mountains. You can probably guess who. A hunter named Roy Calder was the one who saw it. Roy wasn't the kind of guy to make things up. Quiet, kept to himself, knew those woods better than anyone alive. He said Daniel looked comfortable. Relaxed. Like he trusted them. Which didn't sit right with Roy at all. 3 days later, Daniel was gone. His truck was found parked off the side of the dirt road. Keys still inside. No sign of struggle. No blood. Nothing. Just empty. That's when word finally made it outside the valley. And that's when they sent someone in. His name was Deputy Marcus Hale. Former Army. Just got back from World War II a year earlier. Seen things most people couldn't even imagine. The kind of guy who didn't scare easy. Didn't believe in ghost stories. Didn't believe in curses. He believed in facts. Evidence. And people making bad choices. So when he got assigned to check out a few missing persons in some backwoods Kentucky town, he figured it'd be simple. Probably accidents. Maybe someone running off. Maybe even a local doing something stupid. He had no idea what he was walking into. The moment Hale got to Black Hollow, he felt it. Couldn't explain it. Just a feeling. Like the place was watching him. People weren't welcoming. They weren't hostile either. Just quiet. Too quiet. He started asking questions. Same answers every time. Don't know. Didn't see nothing. People get lost out here. But the second he mentioned the twins, everything changed. People looked away. Conversations ended. One old woman straight up told him, "You should leave that alone, son." Of course, he didn't. Because that's not how guys like Hale operate. So he went straight to their cabin. No warning. No backup. Just him. The place looked even worse up close. Half the wood was rotting, roof patched with scraps, windows barely hanging on. But it wasn't abandoned. Smoke coming out the chimney. Someone was home. He stepped up onto the porch. And before he could even knock, the door opened. Both of them were standing there. Lila. Loretta. Side by side. Like they'd been waiting. Hale later said that was the moment something felt off for real. Not scary. Not yet. Just wrong. Like he had stepped into something already in motion. He introduced himself. Asked questions. They answered. Calm. Polite. No attitude. Yeah, they'd seen Daniel. Yeah, they talked to him. No, they didn't know where he went after. Their voices were steady. Too steady. No hesitation. No nervousness. Just clean answers. But here's what stuck with Hale. They never once asked why he was there. Not once. Like they already knew. He left that place with more questions than he walked in with. 2 days later. They found Daniel's stuff. Scattered near a rock formation locals called Dead Man's Ridge. His bag. Some tools. A notebook. Pages torn out. The last thing written inside. The girls say there's something under the mountain. A place nobody knows about. They're taking me there in the morning. That's when Hale realized this wasn't just people getting lost. This wasn't bad luck. This was a pattern. And the twins? They were right in the middle of it. But what he didn't know yet, what he couldn't possibly know, was that this wasn't just about 2 girls in the woods. This went way deeper. Deeper than the mountains. Deeper than the caves. Deeper than anything he'd ever faced before. And once he stepped into it, there was no turning back. Because something had been happening in those mountains. For a long time. And it wasn't done yet. Hale didn't waste time after reading that last line in Daniel's notebook. The girls say there's something under the mountain. That sentence stuck in his head like a splinter he couldn't pull out. He'd seen enough weird cases to know when something wasn't lining up. People don't just walk off into the woods with strangers unless they trust them, or they're being convinced in some way. And Daniel didn't seem like an idiot. Which meant one thing. Those girls had a way of getting people to follow them. The next morning, Hale tracked down Roy Calder again, the hunter who'd seen Daniel with the twins. Roy didn't like talking about it. You could tell just by the way he kept glancing toward the tree line, like something might be listening. But Hale pressed him. Asked him exactly where he saw them. Took some convincing, but Roy finally gave in. Marked a spot on a rough map. A trail junction about 3 miles north of town, right where the forest started getting thick and uneven. Before Hale left, Roy grabbed his arm. Not hard. Just enough to make him stop. You go up there, Roy said quietly, you don't follow them if you see them. Hale gave a half smirk. Appreciate the concern. Roy didn't smile back. I'm serious, he said. You won't come back the same. Hale brushed it off. At least, that's what he told himself. By noon, he was already deep in the woods. The trail started off normal enough. Packed dirt, a few animal tracks, nothing unusual. But the further he went, the quieter it got. No birds. No insects. Even the wind seemed to drop off. It wasn't natural. And Hale knew it. He stopped once, just to listen. Nothing. Not silence like you get at night. This was different. Heavy. Like the forest was holding its breath. He kept moving. After about 2 hours, he reached the spot Roy had marked. A fork in the trail. One path looked used, worn down, easy to follow. The other? Barely visible. Overgrown. Narrow. Twisted between thick trees and uneven ground. And for some reason, that's the one Hale felt drawn to. He didn't like that. Didn't like it at all. But he followed it anyway. Because at this point, turning back wasn't an option. The path got worse the deeper he went. Branches scraping against his jacket, roots catching his boots, ground sloping in ways that made walking a pain. And then he saw footprints. 2 sets. Side by side. Light steps. Not boots. Barefoot. Hale crouched down, studying them. Fresh. No more than a day old. And there was something else. A third set. Heavier. Boots. Dragging slightly. Like whoever it was, didn't want to be walking that way anymore. Hale's jaw tightened. Daniel. He stood up and followed the tracks. They led him off the trail completely, deeper into the forest where there wasn't even a path anymore. Just raw land. Rock. Trees. And that same suffocating quiet. After another 30 minutes, the ground started to change. More rock. Less soil. The air felt cooler. And then he saw it. A rock formation rising out of the ground like a jagged wall. Dark. Almost black. And at its base, an opening. Not big. Not obvious. Half hidden behind brush and shadow. But it was there. A cave. Hale stood still for a second. Just looking at it. Something in his gut told him this was it. This was where Daniel had gone. This was where people had been disappearing. And whatever answers he was looking for, they were inside. He pulled out his flashlight. Checked his sidearm. Then stepped forward. The moment he crossed into the cave, the temperature dropped. Not by a little. By a lot. The air inside was damp, cold, and carried this faint smell, something metallic mixed with earth. He clicked on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing wet stone walls, uneven ground, and a narrow passage stretching deeper in. Drip, drip, drip. Water falling somewhere deeper inside echoed through the cave. Hale moved slowly. Careful. Every step deliberate. The passage wasn't too tight at first. He could walk normally, maybe even two people side by side. But it didn't stay that way. After a few minutes, it started narrowing. The ceiling dropped. The walls closed in. He had to duck slightly. Then more. Then almost crouch. The deeper he went, the heavier the air felt. Like the mountain itself was pressing down on him. He kept going. Because now, he could see something ahead. The passage opened up. Into a larger space. A chamber. Hale stepped into it and raised his flashlight. And that's when he saw it. Marks on the ground. Burned spots. Old fire pits. Not recent. But not ancient either. Someone had been here. A lot. Scattered around the chamber were pieces of cloth. Torn. Rotting. Some of it looked like parts of jackets, shirts, things travelers would wear. Hale's grip tightened on the flashlight. He moved further in. And then he saw something that made him stop cold. A pile of objects. Carefully placed. Not thrown together. Organized. Wallets. Watches. Rings. Buttons. Personal items. Dozens of them. Maybe more. Each one worn, aged, but preserved in a way that didn't feel random. It looked intentional. Like a collection. Or worse. Trophies. Hale felt his stomach turn. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't people getting lost. This was something else entirely. Something planned. Repeated. Controlled. He scanned the walls. And that's when he noticed the carvings. Scratched into the stone. Not letters. Not anything he recognized. But shapes. Figures. Pairs. Always in pairs. Two figures standing side by side, connected by lines, surrounded by symbols that didn't make any sense. Hale stepped closer, running his light over them. The carvings weren't sloppy. They were deliberate. Careful. Whoever made them knew exactly what they were doing. And they'd done it more than once. Then he heard it. A sound. Faint. From deeper in the cave. Not water. Not movement. Something else. A voice. No. Two voices. Soft. Echoing. Talking. Hale froze. His heart rate kicked up instantly. Someone was in here. And from the sound of it, he already knew who. He killed the flashlight. Darkness swallowed him instantly. The voices got clearer. Calm. Almost casual. Like two people just having a normal conversation. But something about it felt wrong. The tone. The rhythm. Two, in sync. Like they weren't just talking to each other. But thinking the same thoughts at the same time. Hale moved slowly, quietly, stepping back into the shadows near the wall. The light appeared first. A soft, flickering glow moving through the passage ahead. Then footsteps. Light. Barefoot. Before he could even process it, one of the twins slowly lifted her head, and looked directly into the darkness where he was hiding. Right at him. No hesitation. No doubt. Just locked on. Come out, she said. Hale didn't move. Didn't respond. For a split second, he actually considered staying hidden, holding the silence, hoping maybe they were bluffing. Then the second twin spoke. You're making it worse. And something about the way she said it wasn't a threat. It sounded like a warning. Hale exhaled slowly. Stepped out of the shadows. Gun raised. Don't move. The twins didn't flinch. Didn't react at all to the weapon. They just watched him. Calm. Unbothered. Like this was expected. You led him here, Hale said, voice tight. Daniel Mercer. And the others. Don't even try to deny it. One of them tilted her head slightly. We didn't lead them, she said. They followed. Hale shook his head. Yeah. Into a cave full of their stuff. That's your story. The other twin spoke this time. They wanted to see. See what? Neither of them answered right away. Instead, they both turned slightly, looking toward the deeper part of the cave. The passage Hale hadn't gone down yet. And for the first time, Hale felt it too. That pull. Subtle. But real. Like something down there was waiting. Watching. Calling. He forced himself to stay focused. You're coming with me, he said, stepping forward. Both of you. Now. The twins looked back at him. And then. They smiled. Not wide. Not dramatic. Just enough to feel completely wrong. You still think you're in control, one of them said softly. That was it. That was the moment Hale realized this situation was slipping. Fast. Move, he snapped, gesturing with the gun. But they didn't move. Instead, one of them took a step closer to him. Hale immediately raised the gun higher. Stop right there. She did. But her expression didn't change. You shouldn't have come alone, she said. Where does this go? He asked. No answer. Hey, he snapped. I asked you a question. One of them spoke without turning around. You'll see. That didn't sit right. Not at all. The passage twisted again, opening slightly into another chamber, but this one was different. Bigger. Wider. The ceiling stretched higher than his flashlight could fully reach. And in the center of it was a drop. Not a hole exactly. More like a pit carved into the earth. Perfectly round. Too perfect. Like it wasn't natural. Hale stepped closer, keeping his distance from the twins. Shined his light down into it. And saw. Nothing. Just darkness. Endless. His light didn't hit the bottom. Didn't reflect. Didn't show anything. It just disappeared. What is this? He asked quietly. The twins stood on either side of the pit now. Looking down into it. It's where it happens, one of them said. Hale's jaw tightened. Where what happens? The other twin answered. The choosing. A cold chill ran through him. Choosing what? This time. They both looked at him. And for the first time since he'd met them, their expressions changed. Not calm. Not neutral. Something else. Something deeper. He's still alive, one of them said. Hale froze. What? The second twin nodded toward the pit. He went down yesterday. Daniel. Hale stepped closer to the edge, shining his light again, like somehow this time he'd see something different. Daniel, he shouted. If you can hear me, say something. For a moment. Nothing. Then. Faint. So faint he almost thought he imagined it. A sound. From below. Not a clear voice. Not words. But something. Movement. Hale's heart slammed against his chest. He turned back to the twins. How deep is it? They didn't answer. Can he get out? Still nothing. Did you push him? Hale demanded. One of them shook her head slowly. No. He stepped forward. Hale stared at her. Why would he do that? The answer came instantly. Because it asked him to. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Wrong. Hale looked back down into the pit. That pull was stronger now. Way stronger. Like gravity wasn't the only thing drawing him closer. Like something down there knew he was there. Waiting. Watching. Wanting. He took a step back. Just one. Enough to break that feeling slightly. What is down there? He asked, voice lower now. The twins didn't look at him this time. They just kept staring into the darkness. And one of them finally said, "It's been here longer than the mountain." Hale's stomach dropped. "That's not possible." The other twin spoke. "It doesn't care what you think." Another sound echoed from below. Louder this time. Closer. And whatever was making it was moving upward. Hale's grip on his gun tightened. His breathing slowed. Every instinct in his body now screaming the same thing. This wasn't a case anymore. This wasn't even human. And whatever was coming up from that pit, he had a feeling it wasn't supposed to reach the surface. But something told him it already had. Hale didn't wait for it to show itself. Whatever was moving down there, he didn't need to see it to know it wasn't something he was ready for. "Step back," he said sharply, motioning the twins away from the pit. They didn't move. Didn't even look at him. Just stood there, staring into the darkness like they were watching something rise. Another sound came from below. Closer now. A scraping, dragging noise against stone. Slow. Deliberate. Like whatever it was didn't need to rush. Hale took another step back, this time more urgent. "I said step back." One of the twins finally blinked, then turned her head slightly toward him. "You're already too close." That hit harder than it should have. Hale clenched his jaw. "I'm not asking again." The second twin spoke, still looking down. "It knows you're here." A cold weight settled in his chest. "Yeah," he muttered. "Then it can come up and say hello." But even as he said it, he didn't believe his own words. Because the air in that chamber had changed. It felt heavier. Charged. Like pressure building before a storm. The sound from the pit stopped. Just like that. Gone. Silence. And somehow, that was worse. Hale slowly stepped closer again, just enough to angle his flashlight down into the darkness. Nothing. No movement. No reflection. Just that same endless black. "Daniel," he called again. "If you're alive, you need to answer me right now." For a second. There was nothing. Then. A voice. Faint. Broken. "Help." Hale's heart slammed. That was him. That had to be him. "Daniel. Stay where you are. I'm gonna get you out of there." He turned quickly, scanning the chamber. There had to be something, rope, equipment, anything they could use. But there was nothing. Just rock. Stone. And that pit. He looked back at the twins. "Is there another way down?" he demanded. They didn't answer right away. Then one of them said quietly, "There's no other way." Hale's frustration snapped. "So what? He just jumped in and that's it. That's your explanation." "He didn't jump," the other one said. "He answered." Hale stared at them. What does that even mean? Neither of them replied. Another sound came from below. This time closer. Closer than before. And something about it was wrong. That wasn't just one person moving anymore. Hale stepped back from the edge again. His instincts were screaming now. Not just danger. Get out. Now. But Daniel was down there. Alive. At least for now. Hale exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. Think. Think. You've brought people here before, he said, looking at the twins. So don't act like this is new. How did they get out? Silence. Then. They didn't. That answer landed like a punch to the gut. Hale shook his head. No. No, that's not happening. I'm not leaving him down there. One of the twins finally turned fully toward him. And this time, there was something different in her eyes. Not calm. Not empty. Something close to concern. You don't understand, she said. You still think this is about saving him. Hale took a step toward her. Then explain it to me. She held his gaze. It doesn't take everyone. A pause. It chooses. Hale felt that same chill crawl up his spine again. Chooses for what? The second twin answered. To come back. Silence filled the chamber again. Heavy. Unsettling. Hale looked between them. Then back at the pit. Then back at them again. You're telling me something is down there, picking people, he said slowly. Neither of them corrected him. That was enough. Another voice came from below. Louder now. Clearer. Please, help me. Hale flinched. That was Daniel. No doubt about it. But something was off. The tone. The rhythm. It sounded like him. But it didn't feel right. Like someone repeating something they'd heard, not actually saying it. Hale stepped closer again despite himself. Daniel, listen to me. I'm right here. I need you to tell me what's down there with you. A pause. Then. Come down. Hale froze. What? Come down, it's okay. The words echoed up from the darkness. Flat. Empty. Wrong. Hale slowly shook his head. No, no, that's not him. The twins didn't react. Didn't argue. Which somehow made it worse. Another sound followed. Not a voice this time. Movement. Faster. Whatever was down there. It was getting closer. Hale took a full step back now. Gun raised again. Aimed straight into the pit. Stay back, he shouted, though he wasn't even sure who he was talking to anymore. The chamber felt tighter. Smaller. Like the walls were closing in. Then. Something appeared. At the very edge of the darkness below. Just for a second. A shape. Moving. Too fast to make out clearly. But not human. Not even close. Hale fired. The gunshot exploded through the chamber, deafening in the enclosed space. The flash lit up the pit for a split second. And in that instant, he saw it. Not fully. Not clearly. But enough. Something long. Unnaturally long. Limbs, or something like limbs, bent in ways they shouldn't. Skin, or whatever it was, looked stretched, pale, almost gray. And eyes. Too many. Reflecting the light all at once. Then it was gone again. Back into the darkness. The echo of the gunshot faded. Silence followed. Hale's hands were shaking now. Not much. But enough. He'd seen war. He'd seen bodies. He'd seen things most men couldn't handle. But that? That wasn't anything he could explain. Slowly, carefully, he lowered the gun. And that's when he noticed the twins. They weren't scared. Not even a little. They were watching the pit like they were waiting. It's awake now, one of them said quietly. Hale turned to her. What the hell is that thing? She didn't answer directly. Instead, she said, you shouldn't have made it angry. Hale let out a dry, almost disbelieving laugh. Angry? That thing was already hunting people before I got here. The second twin shook her head slowly. No. A pause. It was feeding. Hale felt his stomach drop. And now? They both looked at him. At the same time. And said. Now it's interested. Another sound came from the pit. Louder than before. Closer than ever. And this time. It wasn't just coming up. It was climbing. Hale didn't think, he reacted. Move, he snapped, grabbing one of the twins by the arm and pulling her back from the edge. She didn't resist. Didn't fight him. Which somehow made it worse. Because it felt like she already knew it didn't matter. The sound from the pit was getting louder now. Fast. Too fast. That thing wasn't just climbing anymore. It was rushing. Hale backed up, dragging both of them with him now, putting distance between them and the edge. Which way out? He demanded. One of the twins pointed back toward the passage they came from. But she didn't look at him when she said it. Her eyes stayed locked on the pit. It won't let you leave. Hale ignored that. Move, he ordered again, shoving them ahead. They started walking. Then faster. Then almost running. Bare feet slapping against stone as they moved through the narrow passage, Hale right behind them, flashlight bouncing wildly across the walls. Behind them. That sound. Scraping. Clawing. Something pulling itself up at a speed that didn't make sense. Too many points of contact. Too many limbs. Hale didn't look back. Didn't want to. The passage twisted hard to the left, then dipped downward slightly before rising again. The air felt tighter now. Hotter. Like the cave itself was reacting. Faster. Hale barked. We are, one of them said calmly. Calm. Still calm. Even now. That started to piss him off. Start acting like you understand what's happening, he snapped. One of them glanced back at him. We do. That shut him up. Because deep down, he knew that was true. Another sound echoed behind them. Closer now. Way closer. Hale couldn't help it this time. He looked back. Just for a second. And instantly regretted it. Something was in the passage. Not fully visible. Just pieces of it catching the light. A limb, too long, bending at the wrong angle, slammed against the wall as it pulled itself forward. Another shape followed. Then another. Like it didn't move in one solid form. But in parts. Hale turned back immediately. Go, he shouted. They picked up speed. The narrow passage finally started to widen again, opening back toward the first chamber. Hale could see the faint outline of it ahead. Almost there, he muttered. But the moment they stepped into that first chamber, something changed. The air shifted. Like pressure dropping all at once. The lantern the twins were carrying flickered violently. Then steadied. Hale turned toward the exit passage. And froze. Something was wrong. The opening they came through didn't look the same. It was there. But it felt farther. Darker. Like it had moved. Keep going, he said, though even he wasn't convinced anymore. They started toward it anyway. Fast. But no matter how many steps they took, it didn't seem to get closer. Hale's breathing got heavier. No, that's not possible. He picked up speed. Almost running now. Still nothing. The exit stayed just out of reach. Behind them. That sound entered the chamber. Not echoing anymore. Not distant. It was here. Hale turned slowly. And this time. He saw it. Not fully. Not clearly. But enough to break something in his mind. It didn't stand upright. Didn't crawl like an animal either. It moved in a way that didn't belong in this world. Limbs folding and unfolding, stretching across the stone, pulling the rest of its body forward in jerking, unnatural motions. Its skin, or whatever covered it, shifted as it moved. Like it wasn't fixed. Like it couldn't decide what shape to hold. And those eyes. Too many. Reflecting the dim light from every angle. All focused on him. Hale raised his gun and fired again. Once. Twice. 3 times. Each shot hit something. He could hear it. But it didn't slow down. Didn't even react. It just kept coming. The twins didn't run. Didn't scream. They just stood there. Watching. It's not going to stop, one of them said quietly. Hale didn't take his eyes off the thing. Yeah. Then give me another option. A pause. Then. There isn't one. The creature moved faster. Closing the distance. Hale grabbed one of the twins again, pulling her back. There's always another way. This time, she resisted. Not hard. But enough. And when he looked at her, her expression had changed again. Not calm. Not emotionless. Something else. Something almost like understanding. You're not supposed to leave, she said. That hit him like a punch. What the hell does that mean? The other twin stepped closer. You came too far. The creature let out a sound then. Not a roar. Not a scream. Something deeper. Lower. Like a vibration more than a noise. It shook through the chamber. Through Hale's chest. Through his bones. And for a second. Just a second. His thoughts weren't his own. He saw something. Flashes. Not memories. Not dreams. Something else. Darkness. Endless. Moving. Watching. Waiting. Then it was gone. Hale stumbled slightly, catching himself. What was that? The twins didn't answer. Because now. The creature was right there. At the edge of the chamber. Close enough that Hale could see more of it. And the more he saw, the less it made sense. It didn't have one shape. It shifted. Constantly. Like it was trying to become something familiar. And failing. Hale backed up slowly. Gun still raised. Hands shaking more now. You don't have to do this, he said, not even sure why he was saying it. The creature didn't stop. Didn't hesitate. And then. It did something worse than attacking. It paused. Right in front of them. Close enough that Hale could see those eyes clearly now. All of them. Watching. Studying. And then. It tilted, slightly. Like it was curious. Like it was deciding something. Hale felt that same pressure in his head again. Stronger this time. Like something was pushing in. Trying to get inside. He gritted his teeth. Fought it. But it wasn't easy. What does it want? He forced out. The twins stood on either side of him now. Closer than before. And one of them finally said. It's deciding if you're worth keeping. Hale's stomach dropped. Keeping. The other twin nodded slowly. Or if you're just food. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. The creature moved again. Just a little. Closer. And Hale realized something in that moment that terrified him more than anything else so far. It wasn't rushing anymore. It wasn't hunting. It was choosing. And he had a feeling. Whatever decision it made, he wouldn't get a say in it. Hale couldn't feel his fingers anymore. Not from cold. From pressure. Like something was squeezing the inside of his head, slowly tightening, testing how much he could take before something snapped. The thing in front of him didn't move. Didn't attack. Didn't retreat. It just stayed there. Watching. Deciding. Hale forced himself to breathe. Slow. Controlled. Just like back in the war when things got bad. Panic gets you killed. Focus keeps you alive. What does it do to people it keeps? He asked, his voice rough but steady. Neither of the twins answered right away. They stood on either side of him now, close enough that he could feel their presence without looking. Finally, one of them spoke. They don't come back the same. That wasn't an answer. Not really. Hale swallowed hard. But they do come back. A pause. Then. Sometimes. That was worse. Way worse. The creature shifted slightly. A ripple moved through its body, if you could even call it that, like something inside it was rearranging. And for a split second, Hale saw a face. Not clearly. Not fully formed. But human. Distorted. Stretched. Gone just as fast as it appeared. His stomach turned. Daniel, he whispered under his breath. The twins didn't react. Which told him everything he needed to know. The pressure in his head spiked. Hard. Hale staggered, dropping to one knee. His vision blurred. Not darkness. Movement. Images flashing across his mind that weren't his. A man walking into the cave. A voice calling from below. A step forward. Falling. No. Not falling. Being pulled. Hands reaching. Too many hands. Then. Silence. Hale gasped, snapping back. What the hell is it doing to me? He snapped, pushing himself back up. One of the twins answered softly. It's looking. Looking for what? The other one replied. A reason. Hale let out a short, disbelieving breath. A reason for what? Right at the edge of where the chamber floor dipped slightly toward the pit. Like there was a line it didn't cross. Not yet. Hale noticed that. Locked onto it instantly. You see that? He said quickly. The twins didn't answer. But their silence confirmed it. There's a boundary, Hale muttered. It's not coming all the way up. One of them finally spoke. It doesn't need to. Hale ignored that. His mind was moving now. Fast. Looking for anything, that made sense. You said it chooses, he said, eyes still locked on the creature. So what happens if it doesn't? A pause. Then. It waits. For what? The second twin answered. For you to step closer. Hale let out a breath. Yeah. That tracked. Because that pull. It wasn't random. It was intentional. Luring. Drawing people in. Making them take that last step themselves. So nobody gets dragged in, Hale said slowly. They walk. The twins didn't correct him. That was enough. Hale glanced at the pit behind him. Then back at the creature. Then at the distance between them. His mind started putting something together. Something risky. Something stupid. But maybe. Just maybe. It was something. "What happens if I don't step forward?" he asked. One of the twins answered immediately. "It gets harder." "How?" She looked at him. Really looked at him this time. And for the first time, there was something like sympathy in her expression. "It starts taking pieces instead." Hale felt a cold spike run through him. "What kind of pieces?" The other twin spoke. "Memories." Silence. Hale's jaw tightened. That's not possible. But even as he said it, he remembered the flashes. The images. The feeling of something digging around inside his head. And suddenly, it didn't sound so impossible anymore. The creature shifted again. And this time, it made a sound. Not loud. Not aggressive. Almost curious. Like it was reacting to his thoughts. To his understanding. Hale took another slow step back. Trying to stay just outside whatever invisible line it was holding. "You've done this before," he said to the twins. "You've seen people go through this." They didn't deny it. "Anyone ever make it out?" he asked. A long pause. Long enough that he already knew the answer wasn't good. Finally. One of them said. Hale's eyes snapped to her. "One." The other twin nodded. "Years ago." Hope flickered for a split second. "Where is he?" Hale asked quickly. "What happened to him?" The twins looked at each other. That same silent exchange. Then back at him. "He left." Hale frowned. "Left where?" They didn't answer. And that hope. It dropped just as fast as it came. Because the way they said it didn't sound like something good. The creature moved again. Closer. Just inches now from where Hale stood. Close enough that the air around him felt wrong. Thick. Distorted. Like reality itself wasn't holding together properly. Hale's vision flickered. For a second. The cave wasn't the cave anymore. He saw something else. A vast, dark space. Endless. Filled with shapes moving just out of sight. Watching. Always watching. Then it snapped back. Hale stumbled, catching himself. His breathing was heavier now. Harder. The pressure in his head was building again. Faster this time. He didn't have much time left. He knew that. The twins knew that. And whatever that thing was, it definitely knew that. Hale steadied himself. Tightened his grip on the gun. And made a decision. Not a good one. Not a safe one. But the only one he had left. He looked at the twins. "If I step forward," he said slowly, "does it stop doing that?" They both watched him. Carefully. Then one of them said. Yes. That was all he needed. Hale turned back to the creature. Took a breath. And stepped forward. Just one step. The pressure in his head. Gone. Instantly. Like a switch flipped. The silence that followed was almost worse. The creature didn't move. Didn't react. It just watched him. Closer now than ever before. And for the first time, Hale realized something that made his blood run cold. It wasn't just choosing him. It had already decided. He just didn't know what the decision was yet. The moment Hale stepped forward, everything changed. Not around him. Inside him. The pressure in his head didn't just disappear, it flipped into something else. Something quieter, deeper. Like a door had just opened somewhere in his mind, and whatever had been trying to force its way in, didn't need to anymore. It was already there. Hale didn't move. Didn't speak. He just stood there, staring at the thing in front of him as it studied him right back. Up close, it was worse. Way worse. There was no single shape to it. Parts of it shifted constantly, like it was trying on different forms and none of them quite fit. Limbs stretched and pulled back in. Sections of its body looked almost human for a second, then warped into something else entirely. And the eyes. Too many. Some blinked. Some didn't. Some didn't even look like eyes until they moved. All of them focused on him. Hale swallowed hard, forcing himself to stay grounded. "You wanted me to step forward," he said, voice low. "I'm here." The thing didn't respond. Not with words. But something changed. A slow movement rippled through it, like recognition. Behind him, he could feel the twins watching. Silent. Still. Waiting. "Now what?" Hale asked. For a second, nothing happened. Then. The world tilted. Not physically. Not like the cave moved. But Hale's vision shifted. The chamber blurred, stretched, then snapped into something else entirely. He was still standing. Still breathing. But he wasn't in the cave anymore. Not exactly. Everything around him was wrong. The space was too big. Too open. The walls weren't walls anymore, they stretched out into darkness that didn't end. And the ground beneath his feet felt solid, but not like stone. Like something pretending to be solid. Hale spun slightly, trying to get his bearings. "What the hell is this?" he muttered. No answer. But he wasn't alone. Shapes moved in the distance. Slow. Massive. Barely visible. And all of them. Watching. Hale turned back. And the creature was still there. But clearer now. More defined. Still wrong. Still shifting. But closer to something his mind could almost process. Almost. "This is what you do," Hale said, forcing the words out. "You pull people in here." The thing didn't speak. But something hit him. Not physically. Not even like a sound. More like a thought that wasn't his. A presence. Ancient. Cold. Endless. It didn't form sentences. Didn't use language. But Hale understood it anyway. Not fully. Just enough. "You came." Hale's jaw tightened. "Yeah," he said under his breath. "I came." A pause. Then. "You stepped." Hale's pulse picked up again. That same realization creeping back in. This wasn't about being taken. This was about choosing. Even if you didn't realize you were choosing. "I didn't have much of a choice," Hale said. The response came instantly. "You did." Hale let out a breath. Of course. Of course, that's how it saw things. His eyes scanned the space again. Those shapes in the distance. They weren't random. Some of them looked familiar. Too familiar. He stepped forward slightly, squinting. And then it hit him. Clothes. Pieces of clothing. A jacket. A boot. A bag. Floating. Or hanging. Or something in between. Like they were suspended in that endless space. Preserved. Hale's stomach dropped. "Those are people," he said quietly. Not a question. A statement. No denial came. Instead. They remain. Hale clenched his fists. "What about Daniel?" he asked. "Where is he?" For a second, nothing. Then. A shift. One of the shapes moved. Slowly. Turning. And as it did, it changed. pulled together, forming something more solid, more recognizable. Hale's breath caught. Daniel Mercer. Or at least, something that used to be him. His face was there. But stretched. Wrong. Eyes wide. Unfocused. Like he was both there. And not there at all. Daniel, Hale said carefully. Can you hear me? The thing that used to be Daniel twitched. Just slightly. Then. It spoke. But not like before. Not echoing from a pit. Not distant. Right there. Flat. Empty. You came. Hale's chest tightened. I'm getting you out of here, he said. A pause. Then. You can't. The words landed heavy. Hale stepped closer. I'm not leaving you here. Another twitch. Another shift in that broken expression. It doesn't work like that. Hale shook his head. Then tell me how it works. Silence. Then. A flicker. Just for a second. Something behind Daniel's eyes changed. Like something real pushed through. Don't. The word cut off. Abrupt. His body jerked. And then. Stillness again. That empty stare returned. Hale's jaw clenched hard. Yeah, he muttered. That's not you anymore. The presence around him pulsed again. Stronger this time. He turned back toward the main form of the creature. You keep them here, he said. Why? No immediate answer. Then. They are not lost. Hale frowned. That's your excuse. They are part. Of what? Hale didn't even need to ask. Because the answer came anyway. Of this. Hale exhaled slowly. So what, you just collect people. Keep them like trophies. A pause. Then. No. Hale's eyes narrowed. Then what? The response hit harder this time. Closer. More direct. They continue. Hale shook his head. That doesn't make any sense. Another pulse. Stronger. And suddenly. Images. Not his. Flooded his mind. People stepping forward. Not falling. Not pushed. Walking. Choosing. Then. Becoming something else. Not dying. Not exactly. Changing. Spreading. Existing beyond what they were before. Hale staggered slightly. What the hell is this? He whispered. The answer came like a weight pressing into his chest. Not words. Not really. But meaning. Clear enough. You call it ending. It is not. Hale's breathing got heavier. His thoughts racing. No, he said. No, that's not how this works. People don't just become this. A pause. Then. They do here. Silence followed. Long. Heavy. Hale looked around again. At the shapes. At what used to be people. At Daniel. At all of it. And for the first time. He realized something that made his chest tighten in a way he couldn't ignore. This thing. Didn't think it was doing anything wrong. Not even a little. To it. This was normal. Natural. Maybe even necessary. Hale ran a hand over his face. Trying to hold on to something real. Something solid. Then why me? He asked finally. Why didn't you just take me like the others? The response came slower this time. Like it was considering him. You are different. Hale let out a short breath. Yeah, I've heard that before. What does that mean here? A pause. Then. You see. Hale frowned. See what? Another pulse. Deeper. Stronger. And the answer came. More than they did. Hale looked back at Daniel. At the others. Then back at the creature. You're saying they didn't understand what they were walking into? No correction. That was enough. And I do? Hale asked. The response came immediately. You are beginning to. Silence. Hale stood there, heart pounding, mind racing. Because now. This wasn't just about surviving. It wasn't just about escaping. This thing wasn't trying to kill him. It was trying to decide something else. Something worse. Something permanent. And the more he understood it, the more dangerous that became. Because deep down, he could feel it. That pull again. Not as strong. Not overwhelming. But there. Waiting. And he had a feeling. If he stopped fighting it, even for a second, he wouldn't just be another victim. He'd become something else entirely. Something that didn't leave. Something that didn't end. Something that stayed here. Forever. Hale didn't realize he'd taken a step forward until it was already done. Not toward the exit. Not back toward the chamber. But deeper into that place. That space. And the second his foot settled, the ground beneath him didn't feel like ground anymore. It felt responsive. Like it knew he was there. Like it adjusted to him. He froze. Breathing slow. Careful. Because now he understood something he didn't before. This place wasn't just where the thing lived. This was the thing. Everything around him, all of it, was part of it. He turned slightly, scanning the endless dark again. Those shapes, those people, they weren't just floating there. They were connected. Subtly. Thin strands, barely visible, stretching between them, disappearing into the darkness beyond. Like a web. Or a network. Hale's stomach tightened. They're part of you, he said quietly. The response came instantly. They are within. Hale exhaled slowly. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Behind him, somewhere far behind, or maybe not far at all, the cave still existed. The twins were still there. But right now, they felt distant. Like another world. Hale looked back at Daniel. Or what used to be him. You said I can't get you out, Hale said. Why? Daniel's head tilted slightly. Not naturally. Like something else was controlling the movement. Because there is no out, he said flatly. Hale shook his head. There's always a way out. No, Daniel replied. There's only in. That hit harder than it should have. Hale stepped closer. Studying him. You still know who you are? Hale asked. A pause. Then. Yes. That surprised him. Then fight it, Hale said. Whatever this thing is, it's messing with your head. You can push back. For a second. Something flickered again. That same brief spark. Something human. I tried, Daniel said. 2 words. Heavy. Final. Hale's jaw tightened. What happens if I don't stay? He asked, more to the presence around him than to Daniel. The answer came like a low vibration through the space. You return. Hale blinked. That's it? I just walk out. A pause. Then. Changed. Hale let out a dry breath. Yeah, figured it wouldn't be that simple. He looked around again. At the shapes. At the way they were held there. Preserved. Aware. But not free. You said they continue, Hale said slowly. But this? This isn't living. The response came sharper this time. It is more. Hale shook his head immediately. No. No, it's not. Silence followed. Heavy. Like the space itself didn't agree. Hale took another step. Careful. Testing. The pull was still there. But different now. Less like something dragging him. More like something inviting him. That was worse. Way worse. You're not forcing people, Hale said. You're convincing them. No answer. Which meant he was right. They walk in because you make it feel like it's their choice. A pause. Then. It is. Hale clenched his fists. That's not a choice if they don't understand what's happening. Another pause. Longer this time. Then. You do. Hale went quiet. Because that was the problem, wasn't it? He was starting to understand. And that understanding? It was dangerous. Because part of him, a small part, could see what this thing was saying. Not agree with it. But, see it. And that was enough. He turned back toward Daniel again. Listen to me, Hale said. If there's any part of you still in there, you need to focus. You need to remember who you are. Daniel didn't respond right away. Then. I remember everything. Hale's chest tightened. Then hold on to it. A pause. Then. That's the problem. Silence. Hale felt that one. Because now he understood. This wasn't erasing people. It wasn't wiping them out. It was keeping them. Every thought. Every memory. Every piece of who they were. Just, not letting them leave. Not letting them stop. Hale ran a hand over his face again. Trying to stay grounded. Trying to think. There was someone else, he said suddenly, looking back at the presence. The twins said one person got out. A shift. Subtle. But there. That's possible, right? Hale pushed. Someone left. A pause. Then. Yes. Hale stepped forward slightly. Hope flickering again. Then how? No immediate answer. Hale's patience snapped a little. How did they leave? The response came slower this time. He refused. Hale frowned. Refused what? Another pause. Then. To stay. Hale blinked. That's it? He just said no. The answer came. And held it. Hale's jaw tightened. And that worked. A long silence followed. Long enough that Hale thought maybe he wouldn't get an answer. Then. He was broken. That hope. Gone again. Hale exhaled slowly. Yeah, that tracks. Because of course it did. Nothing about this was simple. Nothing about this came without a cost. He looked back at Daniel. At the others. At what they had become. Then back at the presence. So those are the options, Hale said. Stay, or leave broken. No answer. But he didn't need one. The truth was already sitting right in front of him. The space shifted slightly again. Closer now. Tighter. Like it was responding to his thoughts. To his understanding. To his decision forming. Because that's what this was now. A decision. Not about solving a case. Not about saving someone. About him. Stay. Or leave. And whatever choice he made. It wasn't going to end here. Hale stood there for a long moment. Silent. Thinking. Then finally. He spoke. If I leave. A pause. Then. Do they stay like this? The answer came without hesitation. Yes. Hale closed his eyes for a second. Just a second. Because that was the weight of it. Walk away. And leave them here. Forever. Or stay. And become one of them. He opened his eyes again. Looked at Daniel. At the others. At the endless dark stretching around them. And for the first time since stepping into that cave, Hale hesitated. Not out of fear. Out of something worse. Because now he understood exactly what was at stake. And there was no good way out. Hale stood there, not moving, not speaking, just staring into that endless dark while the weight of it all pressed down on him. For the first time since he stepped into Black Hollow, he wasn't thinking like a deputy. He wasn't thinking about reports, missing persons, or doing his job. He was thinking like a man who finally understood he might not make it out. And worse. He was starting to understand why no one else did. You make it feel like staying is, right, Hale said quietly. The presence around him didn't deny it. Didn't confirm it either. It didn't need to. He could feel it. That pull wasn't just physical anymore. It was emotional. Mental. Like a slow voice in the back of his mind saying, "This isn't so bad. You don't have to fight. You don't have to leave." Hale clenched his jaw. "Yeah, that's how you get them," he muttered. No response. But something shifted in the distance. One of the shapes, one of the people, moved slightly. Not fully. Just enough to remind him they were still aware. Still there. Still trapped. Hale looked at Daniel again. "Is it constant?" he asked. "This feeling?" Daniel didn't answer right away. Then. "Yes." Hale swallowed. "And you don't get used to it?" A pause. Then. "You do." That answer hit harder than anything else. Because that's how it works, right? Anything, no matter how bad, if it stays long enough, you start accepting it. That's how people break. Hale rubbed his face, trying to shake the thought. Okay, think, he muttered under his breath. There had to be something. Some angle. Some way this thing worked that he could use. "You said someone got out," Hale said, looking back into the dark. "And you said he refused." No answer. Hale stepped forward slightly. Closer to the presence. Closer to that invisible line. "What does that actually mean?" he asked. "Refused what?" "You don't just refuse something like this." Silence. Then. A shift. Not around him. Inside him. That pressure came back, but not as strong. Not painful. More like something trying to guide him toward understanding. And then. It clicked. Hale's eyes narrowed. "You offered him something," he said slowly. "Still nothing. You didn't just take him. You showed him something. Something that made staying make sense." A pause. Then. "Yes." Hale let out a breath. "Yeah, that's what I thought." He glanced at Daniel. At all of them. Then back into the dark. "So what did he do?" Hale asked. "Just say no. That's it." The answer came. He rejected it. Hale frowned. Rejected what? The response came heavier this time. Clearer. "The truth." Hale went still. "The truth," he repeated quietly. And suddenly. Everything shifted. Because now he understood what this thing believed. It didn't think it was tricking people. It thought it was showing them something real. Something bigger than life. Bigger than death. And once they saw it, they chose to stay. Hale exhaled slowly. Yeah, that's messed up, he muttered. But then, a thought hit him. Sharp. Fast. He looked back at Daniel again. You said you remember everything, Hale said. Right? Yes. Then answer me this, before you came here, before you stepped in, did you want to die? Daniel's expression didn't change. But something behind his eyes shifted slightly. No. Hale nodded. Exactly. He turned back toward the presence. You didn't show him the truth, Hale said. You showed him something that made him give up everything else. No answer. But the silence felt different. Like it was listening more closely now. You made it feel like staying was the right choice, Hale continued. Like nothing out there mattered anymore. A pause. Then. It does not. Hale shook his head immediately. No. That's your version of it. The space around him tightened slightly. Subtle. But there. Like pressure building. You think this is more, Hale said. But it's not. It's just different. The response came stronger now. It is beyond. Hale let out a short breath. Yeah. Then why give them a choice at all? That question hung there. Heavy. And for the first time, there was a delay. A real one. Not just a pause. Like the thing actually had to consider the answer. Hale caught that. Locked onto it. That's what I thought, he said quietly. Because it matters. Silence. You need them to choose, Hale said. Otherwise this doesn't work. No response. But that silence. That was confirmation. Hale stepped forward again. Just slightly. Testing it. The pull got stronger. But now. He understood it. And that made it easier to fight. You can't just take people, Hale said. You need them to accept it. The space shifted again. More noticeable this time. You call it truth, Hale continued. But it's not truth if it needs permission. That one hit. He felt it. Like something deep in the structure of this place reacted to that. Not anger. Not exactly. Something closer to resistance. Hale pressed forward. You showed that other guy something, he said. And he didn't buy it. That's why he got out. The response came sharp. He was broken. Hale nodded slowly. Yeah, maybe. But he still left. Silence. Hale took another step. Closer now than he'd been since this started. You ever think maybe he wasn't broken? Hale said. Maybe he just saw through it. That did it. The space pulsed. Hard. The shapes in the distance shifted. Not violently. But noticeably. Like something had been disturbed. Hale felt the pressure spike again in his head, but he held it. Fought through it. You want people to believe this is more, he said. Because if they don't, this whole thing falls apart. No answer. But now. That silence felt different. Unstable. Hale took a breath. Then said the one thing he wasn't even sure he believed himself. I'm not staying. Everything stopped. Not just the movement. The feeling. The pressure. The pull. All of it. Gone. Like a switch flipped. The darkness around him went still. Completely still. And for the first time since this started. There was nothing pushing him either way. No pull. No pressure. Just. Quiet. Hale didn't move. Didn't speak. Because something told him. This part mattered. A lot. Seconds passed. Maybe longer. Then. The presence came back. Not stronger. Not weaker. Just, different. Focused. Direct. And the response came. Clearer than anything before. Then leave. Hale's chest tightened. Because that was new. No pressure. No push. No pull. Just an opening. A way out. But something about it didn't feel like victory. It felt like a test. And deep down, he knew it wasn't over. Not even close. Because if leaving was that easy, no one would still be here. And that meant one thing. The hardest part hadn't even started yet. The word hung in the air longer than it should have. Us. The cave felt smaller after that. Tighter. Like the walls had leaned in just to hear it. The twins didn't speak right away. For the first time since Hale met them, they looked unsure. Not scared. But close. What do you mean, us? One of them asked finally. Hale didn't answer immediately. He was still trying to steady himself, trying to separate what he felt from what he knew. Because that thing. It didn't lie. But it didn't tell the truth the way people understood it either. It's not hunting, Hale said slowly. Not like we think. It's waiting for people to walk in. To understand enough, to choose it. The other twin frowned slightly. People already go in. They don't come out. Yeah, Hale nodded. Because they don't get this far. They don't see what I saw. They just hear the voice, feel the pull, and that's it. And you're different? She asked. Hale hesitated. Then. Yeah, he said. I think I am. That didn't sit well with them. He could tell. Why? One of them asked. Why you? Hale shook his head. I don't know. Maybe I pushed back harder. Maybe I asked too many questions. Or maybe. He stopped. The thought forming as he said it. Maybe it wanted me to understand. Silence. Heavy. Because that possibility. That was worse than anything else. You said it's waiting, one of the twins pressed. Waiting for what exactly? Hale looked at them. Really looked at them. You ever wonder why it hasn't come out of here? He asked. They didn't answer. Why it stays in that space. Hale continued. Why it needs people to go to it, instead of just taking what it wants. A pause. Then. It can't leave, one of them said. Hale nodded slowly. Yeah. That's what I thought too. He glanced back at the pit. Dark. Silent. Still. But that's not it, he said. The twins exchanged a look. Then back at him. Then what is it? The other one asked. Hale took a breath. Because saying it out loud made it real. It doesn't want to leave, he said. That landed. Hard. What? One of them said. It doesn't need to, Hale continued. Everything it wants, comes to it. Eventually. That doesn't make sense, she shot back. It does if you think about it, Hale said. People are curious. People go missing. Stories spread. Someone always comes looking. Like him. Like Daniel. Like everyone else. The cave didn't have to hunt. It just had to exist. And once you see it, really see it, Hale added quietly, you don't just forget. The twins didn't say anything. Because they knew. They'd seen enough. Lived close enough to this place. They understood that part. Hale ran a hand over his face again. But it's more than that, he said. How? One of them asked. Hale hesitated. Then said it. It thinks people will come back. Silence. The kind that presses into your ears. That's insane, one of them said immediately. Hale didn't respond right away. Because yeah. It sounded insane. But. That's what it said, he replied. That I would. And you believe it? The other twin asked. Hale met her eyes. No, he said. A beat. Then. I don't want to. That answer was honest. Too honest. Because the truth was. There was already something sitting in the back of his mind. Not loud. Not overwhelming. But there. A thought. A curiosity. A question that wouldn't go away. What if it's right? Hale pushed it down hard. Now wasn't the time. Look, he said, shifting focus. We need to figure out what we're doing next. The twins didn't respond right away. They were still watching him. Carefully. Like they were trying to figure out if he was still the same person who walked into that cave. And honestly, Hale wasn't sure he was. You said someone got out before, Hale continued. Years ago. They nodded. Did you meet him? He asked. A pause. Then. No. Hale frowned. Then how do you know about him? The twins looked at each other again. That's silent communication. Then one of them answered. Our grandmother. Hale raised an eyebrow slightly. She told you about him? She saw him, the other one said. That got Hale's attention. When? He asked. Years after he left the cave. Hale's eyes narrowed. And? A pause. Then. She said he wasn't right. Yeah. That part tracked. In what way? Hale pressed. The twins hesitated. Then one of them said quietly. He kept going back. Hale felt that one hit his chest like a weight. Back here? He asked. They nodded. Over and over, she said. He wouldn't go inside. Not again. But he stayed close. Hale looked toward the tunnel leading out. Then back at them. Like he couldn't leave, he muttered. Like he didn't want to, the other twin corrected. That was worse. Way worse. Hale exhaled slowly. Did he ever say why? He asked. They shook their heads. No. But she said, he used to talk about it. About what? A pause. Then. About how it wasn't finished. Hale's jaw tightened. Not finished, he repeated. Like something was still waiting, she added. Silence fell again. Because now. That lined up way too well with what Hale had just experienced. He looked back at the pit again. That dark opening. Still. Quiet. But now. It didn't feel empty. It felt patient. Hale took a step back from it. Instinct. Even though the pull was gone. For now. We need to leave, Hale said suddenly. The twins looked at him. Surprised. Now? One of them asked. Yes, Hale said. Right now. Why? The other one asked. Hale didn't hesitate. Because the longer we stay here, the worse this gets. They studied him for a second. Then. Slowly. They nodded. No argument. No hesitation. That alone said everything. Hale turned toward the tunnel. Started walking. The twins followed close behind. No one spoke. Not at first. Because there wasn't much to say. Not after something like that. The climb back up felt longer than before. Harder. Not physically. Mentally. Like every step away from that place was something he had to force. And that thought, that alone, made him push faster. They reached the narrow passage. Then the upper tunnel. The air felt different here. Cleaner. Lighter. Real. Hale didn't stop moving until he saw it. The faint outline of daylight at the cave entrance. And when they finally stepped out, the world felt wrong. Too bright. Too open. Too normal. Hale took a deep breath. Fresh air filling his lungs. But it didn't help as much as it should have. Behind him, the cave sat there. Quiet. Unmoving. Like nothing had happened. Like it wasn't hiding something that could swallow people whole. One of the twins stepped beside him. "You okay?" she asked. Hale didn't answer right away. He was staring at the trees. At the sky. At everything that felt normal. And didn't anymore. Finally. "Yeah," he said. But it came out flat. Because he knew something now. Something he couldn't ignore. He glanced back at the cave one more time. Just for a second. Then looked away. "We're not done," he said quietly. The twins exchanged a look. Then one of them asked, "What do you mean?" Hale hesitated. Because saying it out loud made it real. But he said it anyway. "That thing," he muttered. "It's not just waiting." A pause. Then. "It's learning." Silence followed that. And deep in the back of Hale's mind, that quiet thought came back again. Stronger this time. "You'll come back." He clenched his jaw. Turned away from the cave. And started walking. But for the first time since leaving that place, he wasn't sure if he was walking away. Or just putting distance between himself and something that was already following him. They didn't stop walking for a long time. Not until the trees thinned out and the trail started to look familiar again. Even then, Hale kept glancing back. Not because he expected to see something. But because part of him felt like something might be there anyway. Watching. Following. Waiting. The twins noticed. Of course they did. "You keep looking back," one of them said. Hale didn't deny it. "Yeah," he muttered. "You think it followed us?" the other asked. Hale shook his head slowly. "No." A beat. Then. "I think it doesn't have to." That answer didn't sit well. He could tell by the way they went quiet after that. The forest around them was too normal. Birds. Wind. Leaves shifting. Everything exactly the way it should be. And somehow, that made it worse. Because after what they'd just seen, normal didn't feel real anymore. Hale finally stopped walking when they reached the old dirt road. The same one he'd driven in on. His truck still sat there. Exactly where he left it. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just stepped into something that didn't make sense. He rested his hands on the hood for a second. Grounding himself. Breathing. "You good?" one of the twins asked. Hale nodded. "Yeah, just thinking." "That's what we're worried about," the other one said quietly. He gave a faint, humorless smile. "Yeah. Me too." He straightened up, running a hand through his hair. "All right," he said. "Let's go over this." The twins stayed quiet, letting him talk. Because now, they needed answers. And whether he liked it or not, Hale was the only one who had them. "That thing doesn't leave the cave," Hale said. "Not physically. But that doesn't mean it's stuck." "What does that mean?" one of them asked. Hale hesitated, choosing his words carefully. It connects to people, he said. Through memory, through thought, maybe through something we don't even understand yet. That doesn't sound better, she replied. It's not, Hale said flatly. Silence followed. Then the other twin spoke. You said it thinks you're coming back. Hale exhaled slowly. Yeah. And you're not, she said. Hale didn't answer right away. Because that question. It wasn't simple anymore. I'm not planning to, he said finally. That wasn't the same thing. And all three of them knew it. The first twin crossed her arms slightly. You sound like him. Hale frowned. Who? The man who got out. That hit. Hale looked at her. What do you mean? She said he used to say the same thing, she continued. That he wasn't going back. A pause. Then. He just wanted to understand it first. Hale felt that settle in his chest like a weight. Yeah, he muttered. That sounds about right. Because that was already happening. Right now. That need to figure it out. To make sense of it. To go back. Not because he wanted to stay. But because he needed answers. He pushed that thought down hard. No, he said, more to himself than them. That's not happening. The twins didn't respond. But their silence said everything. Hale turned and opened the truck door. Then stopped. His hand still on the handle. Something felt off. Not around him. Inside him. That quiet pressure again. Not painful. Just. There. He froze. You feel that? He asked. The twins looked at him. Confused. Feel what? One of them said. Hale didn't answer. He closed his eyes for a second. Focused. And then. It hit. Not like before. Not overwhelming. But clear. A thought. Not his. You left. Hale's eyes snapped open. His grip tightened on the truck door. What? One of the twins asked. Hale shook his head slightly. Nothing. But it wasn't nothing. Not even close. Because that voice. That presence. It wasn't in the cave anymore. Or maybe. It never had been limited to the cave at all. Hale stepped back from the truck slowly. You sure you're okay? The other twin asked. Hale looked at them. Really looked at them. And for a second. He thought about telling them. About explaining what he just felt. But something stopped him. Instinct. Or maybe fear. Yeah, he said. I'm fine. Lie. He turned away slightly. Trying to shake it off. Trying to convince himself it wasn't real. But then. Another thought came. Quieter. Colder. You saw. Hale's jaw tightened. Stop, he muttered under his breath. What? One of them asked. He didn't respond. Because now. It was clear. Crystal clear. This wasn't over. Not even close. The cave was just the beginning. Hale forced himself to move. Opened the truck door. Got in. The twins followed, climbing into the passenger side. For a moment. No one spoke. Then. Where are we going? One of them asked. Hale started the engine. The sound felt louder than it should have. Real. Grounding. Out of here, he said. He pulled the truck onto the dirt road. Driving away from the forest. From the cave. From everything that had just happened. But as the trees passed by. That feeling didn't fade. It stayed. Quiet. Waiting. Like something sitting just behind his thoughts. Watching. Learning. The road stretched out ahead of them. Long. Empty. Normal. But Hale couldn't shake the feeling that none of that mattered anymore. Because whatever he had stepped into back there, he didn't leave it behind. He brought it with him. And somewhere deep in his mind, that voice whispered again. Not loud. Not forceful. Just certain. This isn't over. Hale tightened his grip on the wheel. Eyes locked on the road. Trying to ignore it. Trying to focus. But one thought kept pushing its way through. Stronger every second. If it can reach me out here. He swallowed hard. Didn't finish the thought. Didn't want to. Because the answer. He already knew it. And it meant one thing. There was nowhere far enough. Nowhere safe enough. And no real way to walk away from something that had already found its way inside his head. The road stretched on for miles. Too straight. Too quiet. Hale kept his eyes forward, hands tight on the wheel, like if he focused hard enough, everything would go back to normal. It didn't. The twins sat beside him, unusually silent now. They kept glancing at him. Not the road. Not the forest behind them. Him. Like they were waiting for something. Or watching for it. You're not talking, one of them finally said. Hale didn't look over. Neither are you. That's because we don't know what to say, the other one replied. Fair. Hale exhaled slowly. Yeah. I get that. A few more seconds passed. Then. You heard something back there, one of them said. Not a question. A statement. Hale's grip tightened slightly on the wheel. Why would you think that? He asked. Because you reacted, she said. Twice. Silence. Hale didn't answer right away. Because denying it now? Pointless. Yeah, he said finally. What did it say? The other twin asked. Hale hesitated. Then. It knows I left, he said. That landed hard. Neither of them spoke for a second. Then. How? One of them asked quietly. Hale shook his head. I don't know. But that wasn't entirely true. He had a feeling. And that feeling was worse than not knowing. It said something else, Hale added. The twins looked at him. Waiting. That I saw. Silence filled the truck. Heavy. Uncomfortable. What does that mean? One of them asked. Hale let out a slow breath. I think, he started, then stopped. Because saying it out loud made it real. The road stretched on for miles. Too straight. Too quiet. Hale kept his eyes forward, hands tight on the wheel, like if he focused hard enough, everything would go back to normal. It didn't. The twins sat beside him, unusually silent now. They kept glancing at him. Not the road. Not the forest behind them. Him. Like they were waiting for something. Or watching for it. You're not talking, one of them finally said. Hale didn't look over. Neither are you. That's because we don't know what to say, the other one replied. Fair. Hale exhaled slowly. Yeah. I get that. A few more seconds passed. Then. You heard something back there, one of them said. Not a question. A statement. Hale's grip tightened slightly on the wheel. Why would you think that? He asked. Because you reacted, she said. Twice. Silence. Hale didn't answer right away. Because denying it now? Pointless. Yeah, he said finally. What did it say? The other twin asked. Hale hesitated. Then. It knows I left, he said. That landed hard. Neither of them spoke for a second. Then. How? One of them asked quietly. Hale shook his head. I don't know. But that wasn't entirely true. He had a feeling. And that feeling was worse than not knowing. It said something else, Hale added. The twins looked at him. Waiting. That I saw. Silence filled the truck. Heavy. Uncomfortable. What does that mean? One of them asked. Hale let out a slow breath. I think, he started, then stopped. Because saying it out loud made it real. I think that's all it needed. The twins exchanged a look. Then one of them said. So now what? Hale didn't answer. Because he didn't know. Or maybe. He did. And he just didn't like it. The road curved slightly, leading them out of the forest and toward open land. Fields. Fences. Signs of civilization again. It should have felt better. Safer. It didn't. Because that feeling. It hadn't changed. Not even a little. Hale's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. The forest was smaller now. Further away. But for a split second. He thought he saw something move between the trees. Not a shape. Not a figure. Just. Movement. Gone as soon as he focused on it. He looked forward again immediately. Jaw tight. Don't look back, he muttered. What? One of the twins asked. Nothing, Hale said quickly. But his pulse had picked up. Because that wasn't in his head. At least. He didn't think it was. They drove in silence for another few minutes. Then. The radio crackled. Sharp. Sudden. All three of them flinched slightly. Hale hadn't even turned it on. Static filled the cab. Loud. Erratic. Hale reached for the dial. But before he touched it, the static stopped. And a voice came through. Clear. Flat. You left. Hale froze. His hand hovered inches from the radio. The twins stared at it. Eyes wide. You heard that, right? One of them whispered. Hale didn't answer. Because he already knew. They heard it. That meant. It wasn't just in his head anymore. The radio crackled again. Then. You saw. Hale's chest tightened. His hand slowly pulled back from the radio. Turn it off, one of the twins said quickly. Hale didn't move. Not yet. Because something told him. That wouldn't matter. You understand. The voice wasn't loud. Wasn't aggressive. It didn't need to be. It was calm. Certain. Like it already knew how this was going to end. Hale finally reached out. And shut the radio off. Silence. But it didn't feel like silence. Not anymore. Tell me that wasn't real, one of the twins said. Hale stared at the road. Knuckles white on the wheel. I can't, he said. Because it was real. And that changed everything. It followed us, the other twin said quietly. Hale shook his head. No. A beat. Then. It didn't follow. He swallowed. It reached. That was worse. Way worse. The truck kept moving. But now. It didn't feel like they were getting away. It felt like they were just moving through something that was already there. Hale's mind raced. Trying to make sense of it. Trying to find a way to stop it. But every thought led to the same place. That cave. Was just the center of it. Not the limit. The voice came back. Not through the radio this time. Not out loud. Inside. Quiet. Clear. You left. Hale clenched his jaw. But you did not leave it. His breathing got heavier. Stop, he muttered under his breath. What? One of the twins asked again. Hale didn't respond. Because now. It was getting stronger. Closer. You understand now. Hale's vision blurred slightly for a second. Just a second. Then snapped back. The road. The truck. Everything still there. But that feeling. It was growing. You ever notice, Hale said suddenly, his voice tight, how it never actually tells you what to do? The twins looked at him. Confused. What? One of them asked. It just states things, Hale continued. Like facts. Like it already knows what's going to happen. That doesn't make sense, she said. Hale shook his head. It does if it's not trying to control you. Silence. Then. What if it's just waiting for you to do it yourself, he added. That hit. Neither of them had an answer for that. Because deep down. They felt it too. Hale's grip tightened again. Eyes locked forward. Because now. There was a new fear settling in. Not about the cave. Not about the thing itself. But about something worse. What if it didn't need to drag people back? What if? Eventually. They went back on their own. Hale swallowed hard. Because that thought. That one stuck. And it didn't feel like it was going anywhere. Not anytime soon. Not ever. By the time they hit the highway, none of them felt relieved. If anything. It felt worse. More open space. More people. More ways for whatever this was, to spread. Hale kept driving, eyes forward, but his focus wasn't on the road anymore. Not fully. Part of him was somewhere else. Still in that cave. Still in that space. Still hearing that voice. The twins hadn't said much since the radio. They didn't need to. That moment changed things. Before, there was doubt. Now. There wasn't. You need to pull over, one of them said suddenly. Hale didn't react. I'm fine. No, you're not, she said. You're not even blinking. That got his attention. Hale frowned slightly, eyes flicking to the mirror. She wasn't wrong. His eyes felt dry. Locked. Like he'd been staring too long. He blinked hard a few times. Forced it. Better? The other twin asked. Yeah, he muttered. But it wasn't. Because the second he blinked, he saw it again. Not the road. Not the trees. That place. That endless dark. Just for a split second. Then it was gone. Hale's grip tightened on the wheel. Okay, yeah, that's new, he muttered. What? One of them asked. Hale exhaled sharply. I think it's bleeding through. Silence. That's not possible, she said. Hale let out a dry laugh. Yeah. Neither is anything else we just went through. That shut it down. He slowed the truck slightly. Not stopping. Just thinking. Trying to stay ahead of it. You said it learns, one of the twins said. Hale nodded. Yeah. Learns what? Hale hesitated. Then. How we think. How we react. What gets to us. And what? She pressed. Hale's eyes stayed on the road. And how to reach us. That landed. Hard. Because now. That wasn't a theory anymore. It was happening. Right now. The radio. The voice. The thoughts. It was adapting. Fast. Too fast. Hale took a breath. Trying to stay focused. Okay, so if it can reach us out here, he said, thinking out loud, that means distance doesn't matter. Then what does? The other twin asked. Hale didn't answer right away. Because he was already putting it together. It's not about where we are, he said slowly. It's about what we know. Silence filled the truck. You said it needed people to understand, one of them said. Hale nodded. Yeah. Then we made it worse, she said. Hale didn't respond. Because she was right. By going deeper. By asking questions. By seeing what was really there. They didn't weaken it. They gave it exactly what it needed. Hale ran a hand over his face. Yeah, we did. The road stretched ahead, empty for miles. Too empty. Hale didn't like that. Didn't like any of this. We need to get somewhere crowded, one of the twins said suddenly. Hale glanced at her. Why? Because if this thing can reach us, maybe it won't be able to focus if there are too many people. Hale considered that. It wasn't a bad idea. Yeah, maybe, he said. But something about it didn't sit right. Because this thing. It didn't feel limited. It felt patient. Controlled. Like it didn't rush. Didn't need to. Still. It was something. Hale nodded. Nearest town's about 20 minutes out, he said. Then go, she replied. He pressed the gas slightly. The truck picked up speed. For a few minutes. Nothing happened. No voices. No static. No flashes. Just the road. And for a second. It almost felt normal again. Almost. Then. Hale blinked. And this time. It didn't go away. The road in front of him stretched. Then twisted. The lines warped. The horizon bent in a way that didn't make sense. Hale slammed the brakes. Hard. The truck skidded slightly before stopping in the middle of the road. What the hell? One of the twins shouted. Hale stared forward. Breathing heavy. Tell me you saw that, he said. They looked ahead. Then back at him. Saw what? One of them asked. Hale's stomach dropped. No, the road, it just. He stopped. Because now. It looked normal again. Completely normal. Straight. Flat. Unchanged. Hale leaned back slightly. Running a hand over his face. Okay, that's not good, he muttered. What did you see? The other twin asked. Hale hesitated. Then. Everything, bending, he said. Like it wasn't real. Silence. That sounds like what you described inside, she said. Hale nodded slowly. Yeah. And that meant. It wasn't just reaching him. It was recreating it. Bringing pieces of that place out here. Or maybe. Bringing him back there. Hale swallowed hard. No, he said quietly. No, it's not pulling me back in. You sure? One of them asked. Hale didn't answer. Because he wasn't. Not even close. He started the truck again. Slower this time. More careful. Like the road itself might change if he pushed too hard. They drove in silence again. Tension thick in the air. Then. You need to stop fighting it. The voice came from the back seat. Clear. Close. Hale's entire body went rigid. The twins spun around instantly. No one was there. The back seat was empty. But they all heard it. Every single one of them. You're making it worse, the voice continued. Hale's breathing picked up. Okay, no, he muttered. No, that's not real. It is, the voice replied calmly. One of the twins grabbed Hale's arm. Stop the car. He didn't argue this time. He pulled over immediately. The truck rolled to a stop on the side of the road. No one moved. No one spoke. For a few seconds. There was nothing. Then. You understand now. Hale squeezed his eyes shut. Get out, he said. What? One of the twins asked. Get out of the truck, Hale said, more firmly this time. They didn't hesitate. They opened the doors and stepped out quickly. Hale followed. The moment his boots hit the ground, that pressure spiked again. Not like before. Sharper. More focused. Like something had locked onto him completely now. The twins stood a few feet away. Watching him. Concerned. What's happening? One of them asked. Hale didn't answer. He was looking at the truck. At the windows. At the reflection staring back at him. For a second. It was just him. Then. It wasn't. The reflection shifted. Subtle. But wrong. His face. Didn't match. The eyes. Too still. Too empty. Hale stepped back slowly. Yeah, okay, he whispered. That's definitely not me. What? One of the twins said, stepping closer. Don't, Hale snapped. She froze. Because his tone. That wasn't normal. Hale kept staring at the reflection. Because now. It was smiling. Just slightly. And he wasn't. His heart started pounding. Hard. Fast. Because now. It wasn't just in his head. It wasn't just a voice. It wasn't just the world bending. It was. Replacing. Learning him. Mimicking him. And if that was true. Then the question wasn't if it could reach him anymore. The question was. How long before it didn't need him at all? Hale didn't blink. Couldn't. Because the second he looked away. He had a feeling it would move. Not just in the reflection. In real life. The version of him in the truck window tilted its head slightly. Just a fraction. Studying him. Like he had been studying it. The twins stood a few feet behind him now, frozen, unsure whether to step closer or run. What are you seeing? One of them asked quietly. Hale didn't answer. Not because he didn't want to. But because if he spoke, he wasn't sure what would come out. His voice. Or something else's. The reflection's smile widened just a little. Not natural. Too slow. Too deliberate. Hale finally took a step back. Then another. The reflection didn't follow right away. It stayed there. Watching him. Then, half a second later. It matched the movement. Delayed. Like it was learning the timing. Hale felt his stomach drop. Okay, yeah, he muttered. That's not good. What? The other twin pressed. Hale tore his eyes away from the window. Forced himself to look at them. Don't look at reflections, he said. They exchanged a glance. Confused. Why? One of them asked. Hale hesitated. Then said it anyway. Because it's using them. That was all it took. Neither of them argued. They stepped back from the truck immediately. Avoiding the windows. Avoiding anything that could reflect. Hale took another breath. Trying to steady himself. Trying to think. All right, think, he muttered. It can't fully cross over. Not yet. How do you know? one of them asked. Hale glanced back at the truck, carefully avoiding the glass. Because if it could, he said, we'd already be done. Silence. That wasn't reassuring. Not even a little. So what is it doing? The other twin asked. Hale swallowed. It's practicing. That word hung there. Cold. Unsettling. Practicing what? She asked. Hale met her eyes. Being us. Neither of them spoke after that. Because there wasn't much to say. If that was true, then this wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about time. How long before it figured it out? Hale ran a hand over his face again. We need to move, he said. Where? One of them asked. Hale looked down the road. Then back the way they came. Then at the truck. And for the first time, he hesitated. Because suddenly, the truck didn't feel safe anymore. Nothing did. We stay on foot for now, he said. That's a bad idea, one of them replied immediately. We're miles from town. Hale nodded. I know. Then why? Because I don't trust anything enclosed right now, Hale cut in. Too easy for it to control. Too easy for us to miss something. Silence. They didn't like it. But they didn't argue. Because deep down, they knew he was right. Hale stepped away from the truck. Onto the side of the road. The gravel crunched under his boots. Real. Solid. That helped. A little. Stay close, he said. The twins followed. All three of them moving along the road, keeping distance from the truck, from the windows, from anything that could reflect. For a few minutes. Nothing happened. Just footsteps. Wind. Distant sounds of nothing in particular. And then, Hale noticed something. A rhythm. Not in the environment. In his own steps. Left. Right. Left. Right. But there was something off about it. He stopped walking. The twins stopped too. What? One of them asked. Hale didn't answer. He listened. Focused. Then he took one step forward. The sound came a fraction of a second too late. Hale's chest tightened. No, he whispered. What? The other twin asked. Hale took another step. Same thing. The sound lagged. Just slightly. Like an echo that didn't match. Do you hear that? He asked. They listened. Then one of them frowned. Yeah, it's delayed. Hale nodded slowly. Yeah. And that meant it wasn't just visuals anymore. It wasn't just reflections. It was everything. Okay, Hale muttered. It's sinking. With what? One of them asked. Hale didn't answer right away. Because he already knew. With us. Silence. Heavy. Because that was worse than anything else so far. This thing. It wasn't just reaching out. It was aligning. Matching them. Learning their movements. Their timing. Their reactions. Step by step. Breath by breath. Hale took a slow breath. Then said the one thing neither of them wanted to hear. We're running out of time. They both looked at him. Fear creeping in now. Real fear. What happens when it's done? One of them asked. Hale didn't hesitate. It won't need us anymore. That was it. That was the line. Because whatever this thing was, it wasn't just trying to pull people in anymore. It was trying to come out. And they were the bridge. Hale clenched his jaw. Mind racing. There had to be a way to stop it. There had to be something they were missing. Something. Anything. That gave them an edge. And then. A thought hit him. Sharp. Clear. He stopped walking. What if it doesn't need all of us, he said. The twins looked at him. Confused. What do you mean? One of them asked. Hale looked at them. Then back at the road. If it just needs one person to fully sync with, he said slowly, then the rest of us don't matter. Silence. Then. You think it's choosing? The other twin asked. Hale nodded. Yeah. And who do you think it's choosing? She asked. Hale didn't answer right away. Because the answer. It was obvious. It had been from the start. He looked at them. Then said quietly. Me. The word hung there. Heavy. Final. And deep down. They all knew it was true. Because from the moment he stepped into that cave. This had never been random. It had always been about him. And now. It was getting closer to finishing whatever it started. And when it did. There wouldn't be anything left to stop it. Hale didn't say anything after that. Didn't try to explain. Didn't try to soften it. Because there was nothing to soften. They all knew. From the moment he stepped into that cave. This thing had locked onto him. And now it was close. Too close. The road stretched ahead, empty, quiet, like the world had stepped back and was waiting to see how this ended. Hale exhaled slowly. Then looked at the twins. You need to listen to me, he said. His voice was steady now. Calm. Different. That alone made them tense. What are you thinking? One of them asked. Hale glanced down the road. Then back toward the forest in the distance. I don't think this ends out here, he said. Silence. You mean, we go back? The other twin asked. Hale didn't hesitate. Yeah. Immediate reaction. No, one of them said. No, we're not going back there. We don't have a choice, Hale replied. Yes, we do, she shot back. We leave. We keep going. We find someone. And say what? Hale cut in. That something in a cave is copying people and reaching into our heads. That stopped her. Not because she didn't want to argue. But because she knew how it sounded. Hale stepped closer to them. Lowered his voice. It's using me, he said. Everything I saw, everything I understand, that's how it's getting out. The other twin shook her head. Then we stay away from it. We don't give it more. Hale nodded slowly. That would work, if it didn't already have what it needs. Silence. Heavy. Because they could feel it too. This wasn't something you could just ignore and hope it went away. Hale looked between them. I can feel it sinking, he said. Every second we're out here, it's getting closer to finishing whatever it started. And going back there fixes that? One of them asked. Hale hesitated. Then. It gives me a chance to stop it. That landed hard. Or it finishes you, she said quietly. Hale gave a small, humorless smile. Yeah, he said. That's the other option. Silence stretched between them. The wind moved through the trees nearby. The world kept going like nothing was wrong. But all three of them knew. Something was very wrong. You don't come back from that, one of the twins said. Hale didn't answer right away. Because she was right. There was no version of this where he walked away unchanged. Not anymore. But this? This wasn't about him walking away. It was about making sure something else didn't. He took a breath. Then said it plainly. If I don't go back, it will. That was it. That was the line. Because now they understood. It wasn't just about stopping something. It was about containment. Hale turned back toward the road. Back toward the direction of the cave. I go in, he said. You don't. What? One of them snapped. You stay outside, Hale continued. Far enough that it can't reach you the same way. That's not happening, she said immediately. We're not leaving you alone in there. Hale looked at her. Serious. Firm. You don't have a choice. The tone hit. Different than before. Not harsh. Just final. You said it needs someone to understand, he added. That's me. Not you. That doesn't mean you just walk in there and let it take you, the other twin said. Hale shook his head. I'm not going in to stay. Then what are you doing? She asked. Hale paused. Because this part mattered. I'm going to make a choice, he said. Silence. What kind of choice? One of them asked. Hale looked toward the forest again. Eyes steady. The one it doesn't expect. That didn't make them feel better. Not even a little. Hale stepped past them. Back toward the truck. But he didn't get in. He just grabbed something from the back. A small flashlight. His spare. He turned it on. Checked it. Then looked back at them. You wait an hour, he said. If I don't come out, leave. No, one of them said immediately. Hale didn't argue. Didn't try to convince them. He just held her gaze. And after a few seconds, she stopped. Because she saw it. This wasn't a discussion. It was a decision already made. Hale nodded once. Then turned. And started walking back down the road. Toward the forest. Toward the cave. Toward the thing that had been waiting for him since the beginning. The twins didn't follow. Not this time. He could feel their eyes on him as he walked. But they stayed. Because deep down, they knew. This part was his. The forest swallowed him again. The air shifted. Got heavier. Colder. Like stepping back into something that recognized him. Hale didn't slow down. Didn't hesitate. Because if he did, he might not keep going. The cave entrance came into view. Dark. Silent. Unchanged. Like it had been waiting. Of course it had. Hale stepped inside. The light from outside faded quickly. The tunnel wrapped around him. Familiar now. Too familiar. He moved fast. Down the passage. Into the chamber. And when he reached the edge of the pit, it was already there. Waiting. Not hidden. Not distant. Right at the surface. Like it knew he'd come back. Hale stopped at the edge. Breathing steady. Heart pounding. Yeah, he said quietly. I figured. The thing didn't move. Didn't shift. It just watched. And this time, he could feel it clearly. Not just around him. Inside him. Connected. The voice came. Calm. Certain. You returned. Hale nodded slightly. Yeah, he said. I did. A pause. Then. You understand now. Hale took a step forward. Right to the edge. Yeah, he said again. I do. Silence. Waiting. Because this was the moment. The choice. Hale tightened his grip on the flashlight. Then. He spoke. You're wrong. The space shifted. Subtle. But real? No. Hale shook his head. Yeah, he said. You are. Another step forward. Right up to the drop. You think people choose you because they understand, Hale said. But that's not it. The presence pressed in slightly. Stronger. They see truth. Hale's jaw tightened. No, he said. They stop fighting. Silence. Then. That is the same. Hale shook his head again. No, he said. It's not. The pressure built. The pull returned. Stronger than ever. Trying to drag him forward. Trying to finish it. Hale held his ground. You don't take people, he said. You wait for them to give up. The space pulsed. Harder now. Unstable. And you think that means they chose you, Hale continued. But they didn't. The voice sharpened. They step. Hale's grip tightened. Yeah, he said. Because you wear them down until they do. The pull surged. Hard. Hale's boots scraped slightly against the stone. He was close now. Too close. But he didn't stop. And that's the part you don't get, he said, voice rising slightly. That's not choice. The space around him distorted. The chamber flickering. The other place bleeding through. The shapes. The people. Daniel. All of them. Watching. Waiting. You came back, the voice pressed. Hale smiled slightly. Yeah, he said. Then. I did. And before it could react. Before the pull could take over. Hale moved. Not forward. Back. Fast. Breaking the pull. Breaking the rhythm. Breaking the expectation. The space glitched. Shifted. Like something had gone wrong. Because this wasn't what it expected. You think I came back to stay, Hale said. Another step back. The pressure snapping, trying to reattach. But I didn't. The voice hit harder now. You belong. No, Hale cut in sharply. And then. He did the one thing it didn't account for. He turned. Fully. Completely. Away from it. From the pit. From the pull. From everything it was. And he started walking. Not running. Not hesitating. Just walking. Out. Each step. Heavy. Harder than anything he'd ever done. Because the pull didn't stop. It got stronger. More desperate. Stop. Hale kept going. You chose. Hale didn't answer. You understand. Still walking. You will return. Hale reached the tunnel. The air shifted again. The connection straining. Breaking. You're wrong, he said one last time, without turning back. Then. He stepped out. Into the light. The forest. The real world. And this time. The voice didn't follow. Not immediately. Just silence. Hale kept walking. Back to the road. Back to the twins. And when he reached them, they saw it instantly. Something had changed. Not gone. But different. Did you stop it? One of them asked. Hale looked back at the cave one last time. Then shook his head slightly. No. A pause. Then. But I slowed it down. Silence. Is it over? The other one asked. Hale met her eyes. And for the first time. There was something solid there. Something grounded. No, he said. But it's not ready anymore. He turned away from the cave. Started walking back toward the truck. The twins followed. And as they left, the forest felt normal again. Quiet. Still. Like nothing was waiting. But deep underground, something had changed. Not defeated. Not gone. But interrupted. And for the first time since it began, it wasn't certain anymore. And that was enough. For now. They didn't speak much after that. The drive back felt longer than before, even though the road hadn't changed. No voices. No static. No bending roads or shifting reflections. Just silence. But it wasn't the kind of silence that made things feel safe. It was the kind that made you wonder what was waiting for the next moment to break it. Hale kept his eyes on the road, steady, focused. Grounded. And that alone told the twins something was different. Before, he was reacting. Now, he was holding something in place. Like whatever had started to sink with him. He had pushed it back. Not gone. But contained. You feel it? One of them asked quietly. Hale nodded once. Yeah. Is it still there? The other asked. Hale took a second before answering. Then. Not like before. Silence. That doesn't sound good, she said. Hale let out a small breath. It's still connected, he admitted. But it's weaker. Like it lost its grip. That was something. Not everything. But something. The twins exchanged a glance. Because you went back, one of them asked. Hale nodded. Yeah. How? She pressed. What did you actually do? Hale thought about that. About the cave. About the moment at the edge. About turning away. I didn't fight it, he said finally. That confused them. What do you mean? One of them asked. Hale kept his eyes forward. I stopped playing by its rules. Silence. It expects people to get pulled in, he continued. Or to give in. Even fighting it, that's still reacting to it. And you didn't? She asked. Hale shook his head slightly. I made a choice it couldn't predict. A pause. Then. I left on my terms. That sat with them. Because it wasn't about strength. Or force. It was about control. Something that thing didn't fully understand yet. They drove for a while longer. The trees gave way to small buildings. Then houses. Then a quiet town. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Hale slowed the truck as they rolled through. People walking. Lights on in windows. Cars parked along the street. Life going on like nothing had happened. Like something ancient wasn't sitting just miles away. Watching. Waiting. We should tell someone, one of the twins said. Hale shook his head immediately. No. What? Why not? She asked. Because they won't understand, Hale said. And worse, someone will try to prove it. Silence. And they'll go looking, he added. That shut it down. Because they knew he was right. Curiosity got people killed out there. Or worse. Hale pulled the truck over near the edge of town. Engine idling. He didn't turn it off right away. Just sat there. Thinking. You're not done, one of the twins said. Not a question. Hale looked at her. No, he said. She nodded slowly. Neither is it. Hale followed her gaze. Out toward the dark line of trees in the distance. Even from here. It felt different. Not active. Not reaching. Just. There. Waiting. Like it had all the time in the world. Yeah, Hale said quietly. A few seconds passed. Then the other twin spoke. What happens if someone else goes in there? Hale didn't answer right away. Because that question. That was the problem. They won't see what I saw, he said finally. Why not? She asked. Hale looked down for a second. Then back up. Because it's already changing, he said. Silence. It learned from me, he added. Next time, it won't need someone to get that far. That was worse. Way worse. So it gets easier for it, one of them said. Hale nodded. Yeah. And harder for everyone else. Yeah. The weight of that settled in. Because now. This wasn't contained. Not really. It was delayed. Evolving. Adapting. Hale finally turned off the engine. The sudden quiet filled the truck. What do we do? One of them asked. Hale sat there for a moment. Thinking. Then. We watch it, he said. For how long? She asked. Hale glanced back toward the forest. Eyes steady. As long as it takes. That wasn't a comforting answer. But it was the only one he had. Because this wasn't something you could fix in a day. Or a week. Or maybe ever. It was something you stayed ahead of. Or it caught up. Hale opened the door and stepped out. The night air hit him. Cool. Real. He took a deep breath. The twins followed. All three of them standing there for a moment. Looking out toward the dark horizon. You think it'll try again? One of them asked. Hale didn't hesitate. Yeah. When? Hale's eyes stayed fixed on the distance. Sooner than we want. Silence. Then. What if next time, it gets it right? She asked. Hale didn't answer right away. Because that was the question. The one that didn't have a good answer. Finally. Then we make sure we're ready, he said. He turned away from the forest. Started walking toward the lights of the town. The twins followed close behind. And as they disappeared into the quiet streets, the world felt normal again. But not safe. Not anymore. Because somewhere out there, deep beneath the earth, something waited. Not asleep. Not gone. Just learning. And the next time someone heard a voice in the dark, it wouldn't make the same mistakes. But neither would Hale.